is there a name for Higurashi fans? Is there just a name like cicadas or something?
No.
The cicadas I hear.
Like how in Silent Hill fans are known as the Fog Boys.
Is that
Okay.
Yeah,
I did not know.
It's totally a thing. Yes, absolutely.
You're just making things up. Anyway.
No way. No, why would you say that? It's not
Well,
like
we're
when I lie, my
we're
voice gets really high.
We're all cicada heads now.
Cicada heads. Oh, yeah. Oh, we coined it. We coined the term. We're all cicada heads. Hi, everybody. We're here to talk about a visual novel by Ryukishi 07 called Higurashi, When They Cry. I've been playing this game kind of nonstop for the past week, and oh lord, it's been a week. The reasoning behind that is because I am a Silent Hill fan, and recently Ryukishi 07 was the writer. Ryukishi 07 is the writer of Higurashi, so Ryukishi was revealed to be writing Silent Hill F, and that got me interested. I was like, what? That's interesting. Everybody's saying really, really good things about this Ryukishi guy. So I went on Steam, downloaded Higurashi, the first, I believe, visual novel by Ryukishi 07. The visual novel that a lot of people say is like one of the, if not the quintessential horror visual novel. So, and accompanied by the quintessential horror anime. So, we're going to start with just some spoiler-free talk here with me, and we are going to go through everybody who's joining in the book club. We've got Indestructible Cat. Oh. We've got Lara High.
Heyo.
We've got Meowtroid.
Hello.
We've got Staghorn.
Hello.
And the Polyester Pimp.
Hello.
And as you can see, where are they? Oh, they're right here. So that goes, it's me and then everybody I had introduced across the way. You'll see them talking, and that'll be good. A good way to tell who is chatting. So let's go ahead and start. We've been messing around with technical stuff for like, an hour. So let's go ahead and get into it. I guess I'll start off. Higurashi is interesting. In a word, we can just go through some high level stuff for right now. So, the main character is a 14-year-old boy transfer student named Keiichi Maibara. Is that how you pronounce his name?
I believe it's
Keiichi.
I always pronounce it wrong. So that's our main character. Keiichi is a transfer student. He just came to the wonderful wild world of Hinamizawa, the main location that Higurashi takes place in. He really quickly joins a group. If you're familiar with Doki Doki Literature Club, you'll probably get a good idea for what to expect. It's basically, once I started playing Higurashi, I started realizing like, oh, this is like Doki Doki is really inspired by this. Whether Doki Doki realizes, the person who made Doki Doki realizes that or not, they share DNA. And the one thing that Doki Doki has over Higurashi is that it's way smaller, way easy. Like you could probably finish that game in like half the time it takes to get through one chapter, the first chapter of Higurashi. And by the way, that is the chapter that we're going to be talking about today, is the first chapter, which is free on Steam. It is called Onikakushi, the Demoning Away arc. So it is known as the first of the question arcs.
Yep.
I hope I am getting all of this right. Please tell me if I am not.
Yeah, that is right. Question. So it's still free?
Yes. From what I saw, the first chapter, I'm going to look it up right now, just in case. But when I played it, it definitely was free. So let me go ahead.
Okay. That's interesting, because I remember that the reason that the first arc is free is that they made it free as, to give people something to do during the COVID lockdown. And they had said that 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 the game would be free, or the first chapter would be free until a vaccine was produced.
Oh,
So hearing that it's still free after so long is interesting.
yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It says it's free. Yep, it's still
Hell
free.
yeah.
So yeah, real good way. I mean, I'll say this right up front. No spoilers. The first chapter of this game, this visual novel, is pretty damn good. It's pretty great. Definitely sets up a lot of those. Like, wait, what's going on? Hold on, what is this? And the ending is kind of iconic, I want to say. There are a lot of things that you wouldn't expect a visual novel to do that Higurashi does. And yeah, I'm really excited to start talking and tearing into it, because this is a classic. This is like a classic horror, like kind of mystery, and really digging into the details. It's very. There's a lot of meat on this bone. So. So yeah, Keiichi meets a Rena, who is an orange-haired 13-year-old girl. I have some notes on her, but we can talk about that later. Holy crap! I've got a lot of notes on these characters. Another girl. So Rena is an orange-haired girl. Mion is a teal or turquoise-haired 14-year-old girl. They are both in a club along with Rika and Satoko. I think we can forego last names for now. But yeah, they're all in this club where they play games, which, you know, Doki Doki, very, very similar. Except with Doki Doki, it's more about poetry. Here, it's about playing games and making sure that you can win those games. Winning.
Taking them incredibly seriously.
Yes, taking everything. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, high level. I don't want to get too into the weeds, but I will say that things start to get kind of crazy when you learn of a dam that was supposed to be built in Hinamizawa, and there is something that happens inside this dam that has overarching ramifications for everything. So, I'll keep it at that for right now. Did anyone else have anything to say? Like, overarching, no spoilers. What would you tell to Silent Hill fans who are coming into this? Like, is this something? What should they expect? What are your thoughts overall? Anyone go ahead.
Yeah, I can go first. So my thoughts on Higurashi just as a visual novel, and the reason that I think it works really well as a visual novel is that it really fills you with this sense of comfort for a while, and then suddenly kind of hits you with a lot of dread. And then it does a really good job of making you... I mean, honestly, if you sit in the dark and read it like on your laptop in bed, it is the freakiest experience.
Yeah, and I will say it's on Steam. That's a really good, a really important thing to highlight. It's on Steam, so you can play it on your Steam Deck, and that's a real nice way to walk around with it. However, there might be a better way to play it, and that is, I believe there is a Switch version. I could be wrong on that. That might also be an import, but also there's a Vita version. There are
so many versions.
Yeah,
there's
I think
a
that those are
PlayStation
all
4
import only, though.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
here's the thing that I wanted to just kind of quickly address. I'm playing this game with a mod called 7th Mod. It is a freely available, incredibly detailed, like really, really well done fan mod of the game that lets you switch between like original art, which is kind of correct me if I'm wrong, but the original art was done by Ryukishi, and it's pretty it's not it's kind of weird.
It's charming.
I will make a defense for Ryukishi's art in that I think the expressions the characters make are much better in Ryukishi's art than any other art. I feel like it really shows off their characters more than any of the updated art.
Little worse in the hand area, though. Little
I mean, the ham hands are just, a given. You learn to love them.
Yeah. You know,
It's good
it's
stuff.
interesting because it is pretty blobby, I guess, for lack of a better word. But like, as somebody who has tried to replicate the style for like their own art stuff, it's actually pretty hard to do. There's actually there's stuff that he completely fails at handling, but there's also a lot of details that he just gets surprisingly well.
Cool. So, so you can choose between that art with 7th mod. You can also choose, there are 2 other versions of the mods. The one's other versions of the art, I should say. The first thing, I'm playing it on, I forget what it's called. I think it's console art. There's console art, there's Steam art, and then there's original art.
Yep.
Console art, I believe, was from the PS3 release of the game.
Okay.
I believe so. I think there's like a few different iterations of that art, but between like the different console releases, they're pretty consistent.
And I think there are, correct me if I'm wrong, but I also think that certain scenes have been plussed up, have been added, like a certain doorway scene that I won't spoil. I think that that's not in the original, but having that there is, I can't imagine playing this game without like highlighted scenes like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Is this the version that adds the opening theme when you first boot up the story?
Yep.
Okay, cool. I really like that theme, but we can probably talk about music and stuff later.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Higurashi being like a game made by like a guy and his brother, there was no like CGs, which is like those insert like images you see for like Reina at the door, for instance,
Right.
or certain stuff like that.
Yeah, I assume that because it all seemed very specific to the console version because it used console art. I just can't imagine that like with mitten hands, or ham hands. I don't know the colloquial term for Ryukishi's original art. But anyway, overall, I would definitely recommend like at least giving chapter 1 a shot. The other thing I'd say is I did, in order to prep myself for this stream, I also watched the first question arc of the anime. And the anime does... Yeah, it's interesting because, I don't know, would you guys recommend it for someone who's just getting into Higurashi? Would you go the VN route or would you go the anime route?
Well, for getting somebody in from nothing, I would recommend the manga. The manga is a good... it has a lot of like the detail and soul and charm of the visual novel without being as long. The anime, I wouldn't, if somebody wants to watch the anime, I wouldn't stop them, but I would just make sure that they know that it's the worst version.
Yeah, I don't think anyone watching the anime would think they got like a lesser experience, but they do. The visual novel adds in a lot more, and you really get to learn these characters. These characters are very three-dimensional, which is harder to parse in the anime. And there are certain adaptational torches that I also disagree with. So I would just say the VN would be my way to go.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say the way that the anime for me is, I have a lot of nostalgia for it because it came out during a time in my life where I was like first really getting into anime in general, and that was my introduction to Higurashi. I think that it did a really good job of drawing me in, but I did not realize just how surface level I was getting from it until I read the visual novel, and then I realized, oh well, the anime's it's okay. The art's good. The music's good. It's not as good as the visual novel by a mile.
Yeah, it's...
Oh yeah, if you don't watch the anime, I would definitely recommend listening to its OST because, across the board, Higurashi just has fantastic music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would definitely say that one of the things that I really enjoyed the most about the anime was just that opening. That music is evocative. It really does a great job of setting the stage. I don't know if they change it based on the arcs, but because I've only watched the first I think the first question arc is like 5 episodes. Also, yeah, I would definitely recommend, as a person who just got into this, like literally just now, hadn't heard of any of this until like maybe a couple weeks ago, and I'm just diving headfirst into this. I have to say that the visual novel it's long as fuck. Don't get me wrong. Like that, it is a really large amount of your time that it's asking for. But in the anime, certain characters make certain decisions that don't really make sense if you don't have the context from the visual novel or maybe even the manga. I haven't read the manga, but it's definitely interesting. Like where someone would probably like come in and CinemaSin certain things in the anime, you don't do that ever in the visual novel. Everything that every character does makes sense, except if you're one of those weirdos who's like, why does this character lose their mind at this part? I wouldn't lose my mind, so it's dumb that they would, which is fucking. And that's
why is me unpacking? Who knows?
But
Higurashi is plotted very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It's very long, but like, it's like they put stuff in there. I wouldn't say it's padded exactly.
GX, I'm laughing at what GX said. R.I.P. to Keiichi, but I'm different. But yeah, so yeah, to kind of bring it all together, just for people who are still here for non-spoiler talk, I would absolutely recommend, at the very least, giving the visual novel a shot. If you can manage to, like, you know, spend that much time. It sounds like the manga would be a better route for people who maybe don't want to spend all that time. And I did hear that the manga is available like pretty widely. Like, I'm pretty sure you can get it on Amazon. But yeah, like Amazon is in they just bought Comixology, I think. Not just bought it, but bought it a way back. Anyway, I would say that this is definitely, like, I'm in. Like, I'm hooked. Like, I want to know what's happening to these characters. The only thing that I will say to prep people, that I guess I wasn't accounting for, but I kind of want someone to pull me aside before getting into this. Just FYI, it's anime as fuck.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Like, if you haven't watched an anime, oh Lord, I feel sorry for you. This is. Oh God, how do I even describe it? Like, there's just a lot of weird shit that happens occasionally, but just, you know, you're rolling with it, it's fine. And then someone plays, you know, Keiichi plays chicken with whipping his dick out for Mion, and it's like, what? Just, it's kind of a relic of its age.
I want to say it's because, like, people, like, this game was being sold at Comiket, so, like, no one really knew it was a horror like story going in. So, like, all that setup really just adds to the idea of, like, oh, I'm just, you know, doing a regular old dating sim visual novel. And then, you know, the mic drops in the middle.
Yeah. No, and I'm here for that mic drop. Like, I'm absolutely here for that. Like, the anime stuff, I'm used to it just because of my, I don't know, for anyone who knows my backstory, actually, I used to do, my first video edits were on animemusicvideos.org. So that's how I kind of learned how to do that, how to make videos in general. It's actually where I also met my girlfriend, Rachel, of almost 20 years now. So, you know, I was talking to her and she was like, oh, so it's kind of like Love Hina, where it's just like kind of weird in sections and all this other stuff. So, but yeah, just know that I got to this. Oh God, when we get to the spoilers, we got to talk about something that happened in chapter 2. I need to commiserate with people about some fucking weird shit. Anyway, but yeah, so for everybody who's here for spoiler talk, yeah, that I'll leave it at that. I think it's worth your time. It's definitely interesting, and it makes me really, really interested in what Ryukishi's going to do for Silent Hill F. So, if anything, it's worth it for that. It's also got really iconic kind of scenes. Like some of these scenes are just like, holy shit. This is powerful.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think this is the first visual novel that actually scared me, like actually got me to jump. Because if one thing...
Oh, yes.
Yeah, like, I won't spoil it, but yeah, it's... the one thing I'll say before you spoiler... people wanting to avoid spoiler people, before you guys leave, I will say that this does creeping dread and, like, anticipation of what's going to happen next almost as good as maybe something like Hereditary, where it's just like a lot of interiority for these characters, a lot of like, oh god, if this means this, then this means this, and oh no, oh fuck, something's going to happen. And the other thing that's really interesting is how Ryukishi kind of does a high level overview of everything, where it's not just characters in a weird space. A lot of horror generally does it like, oh, I'm scared because there's a murderer out to get me and I'm in my house all alone. And it's like, it is that, but it's also the like kind of politics and the geopolitics of what's happening in this town and why people would want to do the things that they're doing. And it's really, really interesting. And
I've seen people talk about like Silent Hill Forte or F being like in Japan, and if you really want to know someone who can probably deal with that really well, Higurashi shows that Ryukishi knows his like history of Japan and just the goings on of like that particular.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like there's some really good stuff that goes on like way late into it, like in chapter 8.
So 3 months from now, I'll be able to talk about that.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. And with that, we're going to go ahead and start talking spoilers. So for everybody who's live here, we are about to spoil the fucking hell out of chapter 1 of Higurashi. So let's do it.
I guess just before we get into it, I kind of want to get a sense from everyone else here. Has everyone finished Higurashi to the very end?
No.
I have not.
I have.
I have as well.
Yeah, I didn't. There's a lot of the last chapter that I missed, but I kind of caught back up on it because I ended up watching a lot of like the follow-up stuff, like Go and Satsu and all that.
Yeah,
but,
I mostly asked just to be wary of what we might share that's like a plot point later down the line or could like reveal something huge if we bring it up now.
I should clarify. I do know plot points from later in the story because I had a friend that was very into it and just would tell me spoilers, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And I remember all of them, so that's the unfortunate part.
Oh, rip. Yeah, my brothers did that with me and JoJo. So they were like, oh, this will get you into JoJo because you can't really spoil JoJo. And then they spoiled all of it. And I'm like, well, why would I watch it? it's just, I already know. Red Jagger, you know, oh, that's funny. Anyway. Oh, you called that lady what was it? A beach. Yeah. That's it. That's all. I'm good with JoJo. Anyway, yeah, so let's go through a little bit of character studies. Keiichi Mibara is a gullible fuck.
Yep.
He's
certainly one.
Yeah.
So oh man. Oh yeah. Oh shit. I need to bring out my my notes for the. I was writing notes the entire time, and my first note is, what the fuck is this censored part where Mion and Keiichi play chicken with showing Keiichi's dick? Like, is that? I could tell that it was a censored part because the voiceover suddenly just drops out. And there's no one's talking. It's just them being like, oh yeah, whip it out. You're gonna whip it out? Anyway, it was just really fucking weird.
Do it, you coward.
Do it. Do it. But anyway, just a Metal Gear Solid 5. Do it. Anyway, whip your dick out. Anyway, so yeah, Keiichi is a pretty solid protagonist. Like I'm finding myself really empathizing with him, especially in the first chapter. Like it's just, you know, so many fucking weird things happening with like Oishi, who is the detective, who is confiding in Keiichi probably more than he probably should.
I mean, he's a 14-year-old boy. You should probably ask someone else about all of this nonsense.
Yeah, there's a lot to say about Oishi, but I feel like, I feel like a lot of what to say about him would come about like chapter like 3 or 4.
Yeah,
Like that's about when you can really get into the meat of stuff because, for those chapters.
Yeah, Oishi does have an air conditioner in his car.
It's true.
Which is, you know,
that is literally in my notes. I have Oishi Corrado, or I don't know how to say that. Older detective with a car that has air conditioning. That is my character note for him.
so fucking cold in there, man.
No, it's so hot outside. It's like, oh, and in the anime, he's smoking in the fucking car. What the hell was that about? He wasn't smoking in the visual novel. What? He got close. What? That pissed me off. I had a.
It is the 80s.
It's true. I have a grandmother who would chain smoke when we were there. So literally, the smells of beefaroni mixed with cigarette smoke triggers memories in my brain. So anyway, so that's Oishi. We should probably talk about Rena.
Yeah.
Rena's interesting.
I just want to say right off the bat, and like I can't really explain why without going into like major spoilers, but I can safely say that Rena is my favorite character in the entirety of characters, just period.
Ever?
Yeah, ever.
Oh,
genuinely.
Okay. Yeah, she definitely seems cool. She seems like, well, I don't know, maybe Mion seems a little bit more cool, but Rena definitely seems like she's interesting as fuck. And I'm sorry, one of the coolest fucking things that anybody in this visual novel has done so far is when Rena smashed all of the windows in her previous school one by one with a baseball bat. That is just some metal shit.
I mean,
go ahead.
I think if you think about it, like if you were to do that in real life, like if I were to see somebody just doing that, I would just let them do it. I wouldn't stop them. I would just be like, all right, you do you. Keep on smashing those windows.
I'd probably be like, yeah, go for it. Yes. Keep going.
That's a scene that I also think works well for being a visual novel versus just a regular novel, is because just hearing this progressive like breaking of glass while that's being like shown really adds to it.
I really like in the visual novel that, yeah, I think this is what you're alluding to, where it just takes a moment to just the amazing image of Rena just with the baseball bat just kind of like turned around. Although it is a little unfortunate that it's at a lower angle, but anime, fucking Christ.
Anime,
I love you, but I hate you sometimes. Like, why do you have to be this way?
One of those scenarios where like the if you didn't have the 07 mod on, you wouldn't have saw that. So like the original as intended by Ryukishi didn't have that.
See, and here, okay, we'll get a little bit ahead of things just because I need to talk about this because I just played this and I need to commiserate. This almost kind of ruined a lot of this. It kind of really lowered my opinion of everything. Chapter 2 at the very beginning, there's a quote from Keiichi where he's talking about Mion talking about Rika.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. That is very unfortunate. And
what the fuck was that? What like my opinion just went. But for anybody who doesn't know, there's a moment when Mion is basically yelling at Rena and says, "Hey." It was something like, as a punishment, I'll like take you to the red light district and let people do stuff to you. And then Keiichi's like, oh, I can't think about stuff like that right now. My nose will bleed. And it's like, bruh, she's 11. What what is this? And then the whole thing, oh my god. That's kind of why I was saying maybe the anime is good, because it doesn't have any of that shit. Like, the chick-
this goes into what I like. One of my notes says here is like, I wish I didn't hear Keiichi's thoughts sometimes.
Yes. Like, please, Keiichi, shut the fuck up. Please, please, I'm begging you. But yeah, on a lighter note, so Mion is the teal-haired girl, 14 years old, who calls herself an old man a lot.
She's just got an old soul.
She's an old soul. See, if we're getting into theories, like, something's going on there. I guess my question to you here would be like, what do you think? It's a supernatural answer, or do you think it's a like more like person answer, or physical answer? Me personally?
Yeah.
Okay, well, if we're getting right into it, I think it's both. I think that there are certain things that are happening that just doesn't make sense for it to be purely like the act of a single person or like a human entity. There's some stuff that's just interesting. That I mean, do I believe that the god is a thing? No. I think that the god is like, I don't think that there is anything like that. But at the same time, do I think that maybe people are acting on the god's behalf? Probably. I think that one of the themes that I'm sussing out of at least the very first chapter is that something is happening in this town that is causing people to, I don't know, act out. Okay, here's my thing about the spiritual stuff. What the fuck is happening when characters, like, their eyes change? Because I noticed that in not only the anime, not only the visual novel, but the anime as well. Like, their eyes physically change, and that's saying to me, especially in the anime where they become like really, they're not like dilated. It's not. Something's happening where it's like, I don't know. Are they doing something with like possession?
It's up to you to figure out that. It could be like that, or it just could be like a way to express the emotion of that character at that moment. Who knows? Yeah,
I was thinking it might be just like a... But the thing about the anime is that it actually, like, their eyes visibly change. Like, if it was just the visual novel, it'd be one thing. If it was just the visual novel, it'd be like, oh, that's just the way that, when someone gets mad, that's just the way that they're kind of expressing that. But in the anime, it's very specific. Like, they're like demonized. They're like little slits. They like cat eyes or something. It's really, it's really obvious, I guess. But also the thing that fucks me up is that whenever characters' eyes change shape, that's when they start acting out of turn. They start acting out of character. They start knowing... that's the big thing for me. They start knowing things that they have no business knowing. They start doing weird shit. Like, there's some stuff like about this that, like, and this is what I was kind of talking about earlier, is Higurashi seems to be playing with, like, this really seems to be the core of everything, which is it, spiritual, or is it like more physical, like more human realm? But at the same time, I really, really like the explanation of why villagers won't get involved in certain things. Like, they'll turn a blind eye because they don't want to incur the demon's wrath. Because if you step in while someone's getting hunted, then the demon might come after you. So that leads to, like, a couple things. First, it leads me to think that, like, even if everything's explained by, like, some natural, like, phenomenon, it's saying that spiritual shit does matter. Like, the god does matter because people believe in it. And because
the environment of
100%.
the village really
right
affects the rest of how the characters act. Yeah,
exactly. And the other thing is that I forgot the other thing. Shit. my brain. God damn, this freaking visual novel. I keep wanting to call it an anime, but anyway, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I think it's right now. I just don't know. I have a little. Okay, so right now it's probably like 65 to 70%. Like everything can be explained by man-made shit, like people being people, and then maybe like 30-35% is like some kind of like I don't know about a curse specifically, but something supernatural, like something weird is happening.
Ryokishi, like at the very beginning when you start the game, does have a little note that says like to solve the mystery, it's extreme difficulty to Ryokishi in this case is it easy to solve the plot? Well, solve the grand mystery. I guess he rated this chapter in specific as extreme, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that, because if you know, like after you play everything, after you know everything and you come back to this chapter, I'm sure that you can fill in the blanks.
Oh, definitely.
But,
oh yeah,
100% easily.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
There's just like sometimes there's just like a stray piece of dialogue. You're like, oh, I didn't even I would have just thrown it away when I first read this, but now that I know about it, it's like they just throw that in there. They just let you read it and just process it and move on.
Yeah, and like there's little stuff that I'm already picking up on a couple things, like Satoko, who I have in my Satoko, who I have in my notes as a yellow-haired 11-year-old girl who is also a piece of shit.
Yep.
I love her.
She
great. Is amazing and only gets better as
And a
you.
trap master.
Trap master. Yeah, I got to the that part where they're talking about their specialties and shit. Oh, she's the master of traps. Which is funny considering like the first time that you meet her. Dude, that was a rough intro. Like, are you trying to kill me? Like what? Why are you doing all this crazy shit with like thumbtacks and stuff? You could seriously hurt somebody. Anyway.
Well, she likes Eiichi enough to hurt him.
Satoko will go for the jugular.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, so will Kaiichi. Anyway, his own jugular. Anyway, but yeah, Satoko. There was a moment. Oh, what was his name? The previous student.
Satoshi.
Satoshi.
Satoshi. There was that moment where Rika, like, I think it was Satoko, when Keiichi pulls out the bat, and then they both react very interestingly. They both react like, I think Satoko runs away, like just fucking bolts out, and then Rika's like, "Can you put that back?" And then even within that chapter, that was just like a mini mystery, and then suddenly you learned that, oh, that was the previous transfer student who apparently Keiichi is sitting in the desk and is recreating all of this previous guy's like footsteps, down to violently defending himself against supposed threats. So, but yeah, I've been talking for a while. Does anyone else want to chat? Anyone else want to mention anything? Talk about something?
I am curious to know what you think the motives of the characters are when they do the eye thing and then just kind of like fuck with Keiichi.
Dude,
like,
see, that's why I'm like, that's, if anything, that I think that would be a fun red herring, which we already learned. That I love the character like post chapter, like all the characters get together to talk about what happened there. I love that because it's just like, oh yeah, it's a red herring. Some of that shit's just a red herring. So it really, yeah, for me, it's like, is that a red herring where it's like, really seems like Rikishi is saying, oh, they're possessed by some demon. They're like being inhabited by some alternate form because their personality completely changes. And it really just screams like possession to me. And if that's a red herring, if that's a misdirect, like, fuck. Well played, friend. Rikishi, number 7. But yeah,
I guess, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to just bring up, since you're talking about like the moment that scared you in Higurashi, the thing that got me, and I remember it really well, is when Keiichi is at the trash pit and he's going through all the newspaper clippings.
Oh, yeah.
And when he finally finds the article, the moment they play like a sound at that exact moment, and that really got me.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, if we're talking about moments. Okay, let's just talk about the moment. Okay, let's just talk about the fucking moment where in my empty house, because Rachel was out. She was she went to her family's for like a pre-Thanksgiving thing, and I've just got the whole place to myself. Everything's empty. I'm listening to it loud as fuck on my computer. And then fucking Rena screams lies. And it just made me jump. Like, holy, like she gets in your face and she like, wow, okay. And that's when like, that got me good. But that's the other thing. I've been thinking about this, and I forgot to mention in the non-spoiler section, which makes me want to go back there and edit this in. But one of the things that about, I know I'm switching gears real hard here, but Silent Hill Homecoming was originally supposed to be Silent Hill 5. Silent Hill 5 was supposed to be kind of a new version of Terror by Team Silent. And what they were trying to do was figure out how to make something scary when in the full light of day. So they wanted terror in daylight to be the theme. I think Higurashi is terror in daylight. I think that Ryukishi nailed like how to scare somebody when the sun is out. And that is with conspiracy, that is with unknown factors, that is with huge interiority for these characters to suss out what they're feeling in a specific moment, to really kind of stretch that tension of what the fuck. There was a head of this project, and they were cut into, what was it, 5 pieces?
Yeah. 5 pieces, yeah.
5 pieces. And they were just divvied up among the people, and one of them went missing. What the fuck? And then, but even better than that was Keiichi asking Rena and Mion, like, do you know anything about this? And they're like, no. Anyway, you want to do something? We can play games and stuff. Just don't talk about that.
Oh yeah, no, I remember that because because I believe like the first time we asked Rena about that, like her expression doesn't change or anything, but the music stops.
Yes.
Remembering that correctly?
Yes.
And that's just great. Yeah.
And that's the other interesting thing. I heard that this was Higurashi was kind of described as a sound novel. And yeah, I think there are moments when it really nails that.
Yes, sound design in Higurashi is like A+. Like this would not work nearly as well if it didn't have the sounds in the exact moments where it did.
Yeah, the cicadas. Like there are a bunch of moments where it was like, I think it was between Keiichi and Oishi, who are basically like, only the cicadas know. Only the cicadas understand what's going on here. And that moment when Rena is fucking chasing Keiichi with the fucking hatchet, and the cicadas are like, the cicadas stop. There's a moment when she appears, and then the sound just drops out, and the cicadas just disappear. And then in the text, like Keiichi's like, oh god, even the cicadas are terrified of something. Oh fuck, what's going on? Yeah, no, it's really well done.
Keiichi's like just diverting a bit. Keiichi's inner thoughts in that second half is so good because like Ryukishi can nail paranoia, and he nails it really well. Like, oh, that scene with the truck where he's like, Keiichi can't tell if the truck is coming at him or he was just like jaywalking terribly.
Dude, I don't feel like I'm I'm like overselling it, but really a lot of this felt like Stephen King-esque, like really just like playing with intention. What the fuck is going on? Is what I'm seeing real and shit like that.
Yeah, I will say that Keiichi's paranoia started getting to, like, I mean, it got to me a lot as well, because I think the tensest moments for me was whenever Keiichi was alone at home, and I was like, oh, he's safe. And then it turns out, oh, he's definitely not safe.
This is the least
You look
safe.
out the window, and Reina is just out there just mouthing, I'm sorry at you, and you're just like...
With bloody fingers! Oh my god.
After you bashed her fingers in.
After we smashed her fingers in the doorway, she's just like mouthing. Yeah, oh man. But the worst one for me, the worst was when Keiichi, what was it, mochi? Ate that mochi with like the fucking like
the needle.
the sewing needle.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that Ryukishi describes him reaching into the back of his throat to pull it to see, I think it was he was trying to see if it was back there or if it was back there, and how it triggered his gag reflex. Oh man, that is some descriptive shit. That's oh fuck. But yeah,
I think my
go ahead.
favorite scare with Rena is when Keiichi is like talking on the phone and his mom comes up and be like, hey, I brought some snacks for you and your friend. I'm like, my friend?
What friend?
Oh yeah,
What
yeah.
friend?
His dad. Yeah. Keiichi's
Right.
dad. Yeah. Oh, and oh man, that was some really good shit when Keiichi was basically trying to figure out how to solve this, but realizing that he might not, and he was like, okay, well, I'll leave a note behind the clock. And the way that he talks to his parents, and his parents are just kind of having that conversation of like, oh, you know, the work conversation. Oh, you know, dad's worried about something at work, something's going on. And then he just interrupts. And then they're like, well, we're busy here. And he's like, hey, just, you know, FYI, if I die, can you bury me with my clock? And the parents are just like, what?
Yeah. I do think that there's a little bit of negligence on the part of the parents.
A little bit.
For how fucking weird their kid is acting, but I mean,
at least in the anime it makes sense because they're just fucking gone. Like they just leave. They don't talk to him about anything. He just puts it behind the clock and they fucking get out of there. I believe his mom in the anime doesn't even have a face. But anyway.
It does say a lot though that these scares, when you describe them to people, they don't seem that like intense, but in the moment, oh boy, do they work really well.
Yeah, there were a bunch of times when oh man, especially what was it? Yeah, when Rena and Mion are, you know, at the very end in the last chapter, in chapter 12, where they're just kind of looking over, you know, Keiichi, and Keiichi's realizing how in danger he is right at that moment. And then Mion pulls out the fucking syringe. It's like,
oh yeah.
Fuck. And yeah, just describing, especially the beginning. Oh, the beginning is so powerful. Like having retrospect, having knowledge about what is actually happening in that scene, and the way that he's describing, like, oh, I really liked when you put your hand on my head, and like the fact that and that's the other crazy thing about it too, is like in the anime, it's like, oh, he's clearly beating the fucking shit out of these two girls, but in the visual novel, it's not. You don't really know what the fuck is happening. It's just vague. It's like,
yeah.
But then that's one of the cool things about the sound design is that when he gets the bat and then he swings it and it makes the exact same sound as it does in the very beginning. It's like, oh fuck, oh it's happening. This shit just got real. Oh fuck.
Yeah. One of the things with this is going into the visual novel versus anime. The anime does like revel in its gore a bit.
Yeah,
like it shows it, whereas like in the visual novels it literally says, oh, I think it's like a tape recorder, it's like empty this section because I might have recorded over it. And like him being able to just show restraint like that is, as a horror writer, is really good and just bodes well for just, you know, future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact that Silent Hill Forte or F, the trailer for that has no like speaking. It's just all show no tell. That is very like I just seeing that trailer alone, not knowing any of Ryukishi 7's other work. Like I was impressed. Like compare that to the fucking Silent Hill 2 remake trailer. God, but anything would look better than that. Anyway, I don't want to talk about Blue Team. Let's not talk about them. I talk about them way too fucking much.
In chat, Lonely Mudkip asked if you had noticed what was missing from the message on the clock.
That's an interesting thing because watching the anime, it's brutally fucking obvious what it is. In the visual novel, I didn't notice. But in the fucking anime, it was like, oh, it's okay. So the part about the syringe having the evidence is just gone.
Mm-hmm.
So there's also, I feel like I spoiled something for myself when I watched the anime. The anime feels way too on the nose with, okay, I'm just going to say it. I hope I really didn't spoil myself, but something's going on with the hospital. Something's going on with the main person at the hospital. In that one scene, see, this is also cool. I really like that Ryukishi's making me feel like paranoid and making me feel like I'm reading too much into shit by like in the anime, like that was such a nothing scene. I'm sorry. In the visual novel, Keiichi going to the hospital is such a nothing scene. Also, I have something in my notes where it was like, wow, I wonder what the fuck it's like to be able to just go to the hospital whenever the fuck you feel like it. Anyway, so the director of the hospital, you see him at the very end of that arc in the anime, and I haven't gone past anything there, but something's happening with that dude because he came out of the car. That same guy was there, and how everyone's quiet is very telling.
Interesting.
I don't personally know about that detail, so I don't know how. I mean, I'm assuming it's significant, but I imagine that the anime is a lot more blunt about its plot points because it has a lot less time to convey it all to you.
Yeah, it's probably the problem of a setup payoff, where it's like, well, it can't be really a payoff if you don't set it up. So,
right.
Yeah. As to the question of whether or not that spoiled you, yes and no.
I mean, it's interesting too because even from where I'm at, it doesn't really spoil anything because there are so many fucking mysteries going on. Like, yeah, I'm paranoid of that guy now. Yeah, I'm interested when he gets his own character arc maybe in the visual novel. And once he shows up, then I'm like, oh, okay, well, something's fucking obviously going on here. But like, what does that mean? I don't know what that fucking means. Like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, it seems to be connected with, okay, so let me just string this out. I know I've been talking way too much, and I apologize. I want to hear everybody's thoughts. But I think that the people who showed up, the people who tried to abduct Keiichi, were also related to the people who came to his house after he killed Rena and Mion. And I think that something is happening with them and possibly the hospital. And then I think those were the people, possibly what they call that guy? Rena and Mion called him something. They called him like
the director.
Yeah, the director or the president,
coach, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I think they were related to I think they were the people who ripped that part out of the note, the death note, the death note. No, not death note. No.
The death clock.
the clock of death. Yeah, I think they had something to do with that.
So I guess why do you think the needle is significant?
Because they were going. Okay. I'll walk through that real quick. We know based on the tips that nothing was found. Nothing of interest was found in. Don't tell me, Tomitake. Tomitake's system.
The photographer.
Yeah, the bird photographer. Bird photographer. I'm
photographer.
sure he will maintain being just a bird photographer. Sure. Yeah. Okay. All right. Nice one, Ryukishi. Absolutely not a bird photographer. Anyway, or maybe he is. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out my butthole. Anyway, So yeah, he scratched his own throat out, right?
Right.
Yep.
We didn't find anything in his system, or at least they say they didn't find anything in his system. There might be some kind of collusion happening. Why? I don't fucking know, but it's definitely an explanation. We do know that the plot, the narrative was kind of directing us to look at that. It was kind of putting his death in a frame and being like, look, no, people don't normally scratch their fucking throats out. Something must have happened to him to cause him to do that. And one of those explanations was some kind of drug that would make him do that.
Mm-hmm.
So then, flash forward to Rena and Mion attacking Kaiichi. Mion pulls out that syringe with something in it, and they're about to inject him. And I think, if I remember correctly, Mion or Rena mentions like, "Oh, you're gonna tear your own throat out now," or something along those lines.
So
Maybe...
what they say is, we're going to do to you the same thing we did to Takeichi. Tomitake. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Tomitake. Yeah, that's exactly it. I remember that now. And so that means, to me, connecting the dots there, which is probably foolhardy, but for the purposes of this conversation, I think that the syringe is important because it contains the drug that causes people to scratch their own throats out or lose their minds in a specific way. I am probably wrong on that, though, because thinking about it now, he wasn't injected. Kaiichi wasn't injected with that drug. He ran away, but he still scratched his own throat out. So one of two things. One, that didn't happen, and the drug has nothing to do with scratching your throat out. Two, he was injected later by someone. Maybe even with the same syringe.
I will say, what I know about Chapter 1, this is the frustrating thing about knowing things. I don't know what I genuinely came to the conclusion of anymore based on, like, me figuring things out versus what I just had spoiled for me. So I can't comment on it, unfortunately.
Man, that's like playing Outer Wilds and having someone just tell you how to do the run, and it's like,
yeah, exactly. So I it's like, did I come up with this on my own? Is this something that I thought of myself, or is this, did I piece the dots together, or am I remembering something? I don't remember.
Yeah, some kind of false memory. Interesting. Yeah, man, that sucks.
I wish I could say more, but I imagine that what I'm thinking of it probably does get brought up later. And if it doesn't, then I'll bring it up then, and then it'll be like, oh shit. Like,
yeah, like
even if it's down the line.
Mysteries will always be brought up later down the line.
Yeah,
like Tomitake's girlfriend. They don't really talk about her too much.
Takano?
Yeah, Takano.
Okay. Because I remember there were a bunch of times watching and by the way, Evil Zoe, yes, you did just catch a blind Higurashi playthrough live. I've never played anything about, never, also thank you for the follow. I have never had anything to do with this. I'm coming in fresh, and it's a fucking time. Anyway, but yeah, Takano, one of the things that the tips do is they're really, really good at just hinting, just giving you a little hint of like, oh, that's weird. Oh, here's this character. Oh, this is why this matters. And one of the ones that I remember was it was a tip that specifically mentioned Takano, and said her name, because I think it was you overhearing some people in the hospital talking about Tomitake, and then like, I think he just eloped with Takano. Oh, you think that? Oh, yeah. And then it's like, oh, so Takano was her name. And it was just like, it's really nice to be able to like, ooh, I feel like a fucking detective, like fucking putting these pieces together. Oh, yeah, I'm going to put that name in that slot. And now she has a name. Because that was really fascinating when the entire time you're talking to her at the festival, and you never know her name. And it's just like, okay, wow, this mystery is, what the fuck is going on? But yeah, someone mentioned it earlier, and yes, the first chapter, the first arc, I should say, is definitely setting up a lot. And that's why I'm like, I'm kind of okay with the anime maybe tipping its hand a little bit too much, because like there's just so much other shit. How does that explain the girls losing their minds? Rena and Mion, like, how does it explain them knowing shit that they have no fucking business knowing?
Exactly. I guess also, when we were going over the characters, we didn't really go over Rika.
Yes. Oh, and we only started going over Satoko. I will. Okay, let's get to Rika. Let's talk a little bit more about Satoko. Satoko is very. I love her. She's great. She's also a piece of shit, but
she's a gremlin. I love.
She's
her.
a gremlin.
Yes.
She is the most gremlin ass. Oh my god, I love her laugh. I love her laugh. She is so. If I'm playing it with the Japanese,
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah. No, I highly recommend it. Hearing her go is, oh god, it's so good. It's so good. But yeah, I'm listening to it with full Japanese dub, or it's subbed, I guess, but it is the voiceover, voice acting. It's great. It really helps me understand like inflections and what kind of how people are meant to be taken, and certain visual tics like Rena saying, like, it really doesn't hit me when like just reading it, but hearing her say the same, like repeating the last part of her sentences in the Japanese dub, it really kind of, it's interesting. It's definitely, I like that character quirk. All the girls have their own little quirks. And speaking of quirks, Rika, Rika is the purple-haired 11-year-old girl who is also the priestess of the local temple to Oyashiro-sama. Oyashiro-sama is the god/guardian of Hinamizawa. And Rika is great, and one of the reasons I like Rika is because of this interaction. Rika, don't worry, Satoko, it's okay. Kaiichi, yeah, listen to Rika. Rika, next time fuck him up even more. Kaiichi, wait.
Rika is my favorite character in Higurashi.
Rika's
bar none.
No, Rika's really damn good. Like,
okay, one of the reasons I wanted to play this at all was not just because of Silent Hill F, but I saw one clip that I'm very, very, very interested in getting to. I think it was on a Watch Mojo thing that I watched a long time ago, and I just realized that it was from the anime. There is a scene that made me fall in love with Rika, and it is when Satoko is playing keep away with something of hers in the anime, and then she fucking throws a whole ass chair at Satoko's head and proceeds to beat the fucking shit out of her.
Okay.
I'm like, Rika, hell yeah. Don't take no shit.
A hell of a thing.
Rika with the steel chair. So I'm so excited to get to that part. I have no context for that, but that's one of those. You guys tell me. I don't know if that's a spoiler or not. That's definitely.
I don't know.
It's okay. So the thing about that scene is, it happens it doesn't happen within the 8 main chapters. It happens in like a spin-off bit.
Oh, damn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I heard that the spin-offs
it's probably like if you read like one spin-off, it'd be the one that includes that.
Okay. Would that be the dice killing arc?
Yep.
Sekoroshi?
Yeah.
Which is
that one is definitely a read at the end of the
that will spoil the shit out of everything. That is an epilogue arc.
Yes, it is described. The site that I'm using describes it as the epilogue considered by most to be the true ending of the series. So definitely gonna watch that at the very end. Also because that was included in what I bought. Because I guess I should say that I bought the whole thing. So I'm definitely going through all this. So yeah, it's I'm really excited. Also, this site describes the penalty-loving arc Batsu Koishi as quote ecchi crap, and then the Daybreak arc as love crap based on Higurashi Daybreak action game. So I feel like I can trust this site.
There's a lot of ecchi crap in Higurashi. Like, it can get really fucking bad at times. Which sucks because the core of it is so fucking good.
That's why I'm like, okay, Ryukishi seems to be in his element when it's like, when he maybe pulling out of like the visual novel trappings, I guess, or anime trappings specifically. And possibly Silent Hill F might be a perfect venue for him to really kind of focus on.
Yeah, definitely.
I will say that in the 8 chapters that we have, I think only the first 2 really have those, and after that, it's very downplayed. Like,
okay, so
you don't have to worry about that going forward.
I think the first 2 chapters are also like the most setup you get, and then you kind of like really get into. From what I recall, you really get into like a rhythm after that point. Like chapter 3 and onward is really just like kind of full steam ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we've got the Demoning Away arc number 1, Cotton Drifting arc, Curse Killing arc, and Time Killing arc, and those first 4 are the question arcs. And then we've got Eye Opening arc, Atonement arc, Massacre arc, and the Festival Accompanying arc, which are all the answer arcs. Okay. I feel like Evangelion prepared me for this. Definitely for like having multiple finales and like a bunch of other fucking spin-off garbage. I heard that there's like a zombie fucking arc or something, like a spin-off.
Something like that, yeah.
Which is interesting because they play the zombie game, which I thought was really fun. In the first arc, there was that whole game where they're playing like,
as zombies.
So
I will say, for a visual novel where you don't actually have to make any choices or actually play any of these games, I was still stressed the fuck out, like thinking about like the intensity of which I would have to be to match to be in this club. I could not do it. My poor little heart couldn't do it.
Oh no, absolutely not. I would get my ass kicked in 5 different ways.
There were multiple periods where I was like, oh, so you're saying that there's no way for me to win? Okay, I'm out. No, I'm not. If I was in that club, no, fuck that. I'm not doing that. It's fucking rigged. I'm out of here. I'm not wearing
club teaches you to survive, man.
I'm not wearing I can learn how to survive on my own. I don't need to wear a fucking maid outfit with a full-on garter belt and quote-unquote unmentionables in order to figure that out. Like, fuck that. Y'all are just weird.
Yeah, I will say though, with how many like spin-offs and like zombie games and zombie anime there are, this like Onikakushi, the first chapter, I think only sold like 10 copies in Comiket.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Huh. This didn't really break into like it really got word of mouth chapter 3 onwards.
That makes sense.
I'm just reading my notes now. The part in the first arc, Kaiichi's worried about ruining his reputation by being caught looking at pornos, lol, is what I wrote. There's a lot of worrying about Kaiichi's reputation. And like, oh God, I hope no one sees, especially in the second part where it's like,
what reputation?
Yeah, exactly. Like well, I think that's the point actually, because no one really knows him. Or they think he's new, so they need like something to attach to him. And there is oh my God, there is so much talk in the second arc, at the very beginning of the second arc, about him liking cross-dressing, and it's pretty fucking cringe. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
It's like Mion like taunting him, being like, "Oh, is something inside you awakened?" And it's just like, bruh, I can't fucking fucking do this.
Yeah, this is definitely something that is like made in like the 2000s before a lot of trans and queer stuff really hit the zeitgeist. I will say though that once it is in the zeitgeist and he starts actually working with it, he handles it well. Like once he's thinking to handle it well, he does. Like, but that's talking about Syconia mainly.
Mm.
So that's like way later.
Okay. Larahai, were you going to say something?
Yeah, it's so funny because like Keiichi has moments where he's like, I don't want to be seen cross-dressing or in a maid outfit or whatever, but then he has moments where he's encouraging other people and he's like, you can do it, you're a strong feminist woman and you can do it. And I'm like, Keiichi, do you hear yourself? You are also a strong feminist woman.
Keiichi, come on.
I feel like Keiichi's not really somebody who's hurt himself once in his life.
Yeah, he really doesn't listen to himself.
Which is funny because we hear so much of him. Anyway. I also loved when Keiichi, quote, switched to boxers and Rena goes, Chunksu. I don't know why I like that so much. Also, apparently there are a few words in Japanese to describe how good something tastes. Is that true? Does anyone know about that?
Probably. I mean, there's lots of words in English, so like.
Huh. Also, I'd never heard of an apple rabbit until this visual novel.
Oh, apple rabbits are adorable.
Which is, I was looking them up and I was like, what the fuck is an apple rabbit? It's got to be some like pastry or something, right? I look it up. It's just a fucking apple cut into a specific shape. It's an apple cut to look like a rabbit. Everyone's losing their minds about trying to eat them. And it's just
it's like a little octopus sausage. For they just make their food into cute shapes.
Exactly.
Oh, speaking of eating, how did you react to Reina wanting to dig out Colonel Sanders?
Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, God. I had no idea it was Colonel Sanders until the anime. It just straight up showed. Which, by the way,
funny.
It was fucking hilarious. Also, did you notice that it wasn't KFC, it was KCF? Which I don't know if that was an honest mistake or they were avoiding getting sued by KFC or something. Just brand recognition.
I mean, they changed names up like that for like every
Oh yeah,
restaurant and fast food place. Like McDonald's is a trope for a reason.
Yeah, true.
KFC actually does have a big chain in Japan also, so it definitely was not a mistake. It was definitely we're trying to be tongue-in-cheek about this.
Yeah, Higurashi and a certain song in Yumaneko do skirt the copyright issue a lot.
Well, speaking of, just as like a kind of cultural aside, are you familiar, Bob, with the Curse of the Colonel?
No, I don't think I've heard about that.
Okay, so it's basically it's a sports curse. So there's a team in Japan that I think it's the Hanshin Tigers. So they win a game, they're celebrating, and they take this statue of Colonel Sanders that's outside of a KFC, and they throw it into a river. And from then on, the team, huge losing streak.
Oh.
And so it's Colonel's fault.
I think I have heard of this actually. I think I was watching a video about like curses and stuff, and I think that came up. Interesting. I wonder if that'll come.
Fun one. I'm 100% sure that that's context that people would know about with the statue in the dump.
Yeah, that's definitely okay.
An 18-year losing streak. 18
years. Wow. Going through more of my notes I have in here, quote, Satoko has such a bitch laugh.
Yep.
You gotta love that Ojo-sama laugh.
I love it. I love it. She's going to grow up to be such a wonderful, evil villainess. It's absolutely wonderful. She's going to grow up to antagonize Sailor Moon at some point. I need commentary on this. Teaching Satoko to piss only when she really has to, so it, quote, shoots right out, unquote.
I can't stop thinking about that phrase
What?
ever since you brought it up the other day. It's literally just been on my mind for like the past like 4 days.
Okay. Full disclosure on my part. Outside of like reading through like the first leg of it and some specific scenes, I haven't actually read the visual novel for the first chapter.
Mm.
Like I've read like the manga and the anime and like a whole bunch of other stuff, so I know it up and down. But like specific stuff like that, that just blindsided me just now.
Oh, there's more. There's so much more. I mean, I was honestly like wanting to talk more about the playing chicken with whipping his dick out, but I don't think we need to belabor that point. But there's so many things like that are just peppered throughout the beginning of the second arc really kind of has a bunch of those where it's just like, wait, what? Oh, so you're going? Oh, so the tactic Kaiichi is taking here is to win the contest so that he can make the little girls dress up in sexy outfits for the little boys. What?
Yeah.
I'm screaming internally like, this is of its time. This is of an era. But there's some shit that's just like unforgivable.
There's definitely stuff like that.
Quote,
yeah, but like as long as you can get past it, like good.
It's not that I don't think the point is to get past it. I think the point is to take it on the whole.
Yeah.
Like,
that's more like what I mean.
Yeah,
like
it's not like we're pretending it didn't happen. It happened. Like it's in there.
But guess what I'm trying to say is like, don't have those things invalidate the good that the rest of it does.
Don't let a few bad apples spoil the batch. Yeah. But yeah, like shit like the piss thing. I mean, that's just funny. There's also a line where I think it was Mion. Mion's got some. She calls herself an old man. Oh boy, she's got some old man humor in here. Like the time where is it? Oh, I need to find this. It's here somewhere. I wrote it down. Oh, here we go. Kaiichi, hey, I have to go to the bathroom. Mion, take your time and squeeze out a nice one. My note. Why God?
I have a friend who talks like that. Actually, it's a mutual friend of me and Kat. Who they say stuff like that sometimes, and it just kills me every time.
I mean, there's shit like that. There's shit and piss like that is just, it's like, okay, that's a character quirk. I'm not a person to do like toilet humor, but like I know people that do it. I know that, it is a thing that exists. So I'm not entirely like saying that like, oh no one should make that a joke. For me, it's more of like the ogling, oh my God, quote, dad is a sucker for the ladies. I'm sorry. You have a wife, motherfucker. Anyway, but like, and even that is like understandable, but like the other shit that is just like the red light district and the fucking whipping the dick out. Like even the whipping the dick out is like, okay, kids are kids. Maybe to an extent I can follow you there, but like the red light district thing with Rico was like, this is a step too far. I can't. This sucks.
I will definitely say that is like the big part. Like those parts of chapter 2 are the lowest Higurashi gets.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
There's one other thing in chapter 3 which I think is a little unnecessary, but we'll get there.
Yeah. Well, we can get there when we get there.
I think Ryukishi was really trying to capture the fact that these are very bored children in the countryside who relish in being really edgy because they don't have any like supervision. So to some degree it becomes authentic, and then to some degree it's too over the top. It's too much.
Right. And sometimes, I read shit like that and I just can't help but think like, okay, even though I know Ryakishi is a social worker, even though I know that he's probably speaking from experience with a lot of the vast majority of this stuff, like the stuff with the police station and certain things that the kids are doing and the whole town and how it relates to the government and his time and place and in history, it's like a lot of this is definitely coming from somewhere, from a real place. But a lot of the time, like specifically when the red light district thing happened, it was like, I guess I could see a kid, like if you're trying to portray a kid as a little fucking shit, like maybe you could go that way, but like I can't separate the fact that this isn't a little kid, this is a grown man writing this shit. And it just, the way that the characters are drawn in certain situations, the way that it's just so fucking anime, and it like, sometimes it just punches you square in the nose. But anyway, not to belabor the point, but yeah.
Yeah. If you want, really, we'll get to it. But Ryakishi is very in his element in Chapter 3, and that's also part of why Chapter 3 is probably one of the best ones.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
all right. Yeah, that's another thing that would be good to go through. Is what do I have to look forward to? Like, not spoilery, but like, so. Is 3 the peak? Is the curse killing arc the peak, or
it is? So I would say the peak is like 3 is the peak of the question arcs, undoubtedly.
Okay.
I'd say that the peak might be arcs or chapter 6.
I wouldn't say Chapter 7.
7's also really good. I'd say chapter 6, but for reasons I mentioned earlier, I'm biased.
right? So that's the atonement arc and the massacre arc.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Chapter 3 also would require some content warnings, just as a heads up.
Chapter 3?
Yeah, Chapter 3.
Okay.
And
right.
Chapter 7 as well, but
okay,
it's related to Chapter 3, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I guess I should say there was some there's definitely some mentioning of suicide in this one. So
yeah.
There's a lot of that kind of thing. So yeah, forewarning, but if you're getting into
it. Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking about the content warnings for like a different part of chapter 3, but then Gail mentioned the government and stuff, and content warnings, like
okay.
Yeah, no. I just remembered like the scene from chapter 3, and that hits you like a truck right in the chest.
Yeah, no, that. And Bob, how you're reading it right now, which is reading the tips in between the chapters right away, is the best way for that moment to land in chapter 3.
Yeah, I noticed real quick that well, first off, I'm a completionist, so I try to do like side missions and side stories like immediately as soon as they're available. Yeah, it's probably my horror game upbringing, where it's just like, well, I've been fucked over so many times when, you're trying to do something and then you accidentally complete the game, and then like, oh fuck, I had all those side missions and the extra stuff I was trying to do. Oh, it's all gone now. Ah, damn it. So I try to do it like immediately. But yeah, so the way I learned real quick that I shouldn't stockpile those. 1, because it gets daunting. And 2, because the tips are actually specifically related to the chapters that you complete. So, a good example of that was when I completed the chapter that had to do with the newspaper, where Keiichi picked up the newspaper that had to do with the murder. And so he picked it up and was going through it. And then the tips that come out are the specific exact words that were in the newspaper for the article that he was talking about. And the reason why I do it all the time now is because immediately after that article in the tip, the article, it goes through the whole article, and it's like this really like somber tone, like music, and it's just like in 2 years ago, a man was found brutally murdered, ripped apart, and divided into 5 pieces. And then at the very end, and then hey, there's a sale today at 7th Mart. We're all going. Oh, it's great.
So I think that's what that whiplash of the going into the tips for the first time and hearing that really like creepy music is where I think it was like the first time I got chills. I was like, oh no, this is where things start going way downhill fast.
Yeah.
That actually goes into something about Rikishi in that he tends to put like comedic moments in between like really serious moments because he feels that like sometimes you just need to decompress from big like emotions or big really heavy scenes sometimes with a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things about this visual novel that I feel like Doki Doki also did really well is hammering home why you're playing it. Like, why are you going through all this shit? Why are you dealing with, all these really heavy topics if you can't have some levity, some like calming down, some reason to like want to learn what happens to these characters? And I think that a lot of really good horror really understands that, like, yes, it is about the situations that these characters like find themselves in, but largely it's character driven. It's all character driven. You want to be there because the characters are interesting and you want to know more about them. You want to know what's going on with them. Like, you might want to wonder if, I don't know how to segue this. I'm just going to say it in my notes I have. Thank God you were born a girl, Mion. Otherwise you'd be a perverted asshole. So there's that.
I think that, 100%.
So I just have a whole bunch of really disparate notes. Having Rena speak like a maid and basically play strip poker is weird. There's that one. Miku is really popular with older men. My note, okay. There really aren't any personal boundaries to speak of in this, are there? That's what I wrote. But yeah, I also had a question about what is moe, but I think I know what moe is now. Also, I called it Mo earlier, and people were like, what the fuck are you talking about? Mo, the guy from The Simpsons? But yeah, I think I get what moe is now.
Okay.
I like how people said Moe Blob very genuinely, and you thought that people were calling you Movie Bob, and it was like, no. Moe Blob is a thing. It's a real term.
I thought people were calling me Movie Bob. I'm very sensitive to being called Movie Bob. Just know that.
We'll call you Moe Bob from now on.
No, that's somehow worse. Actually, no, that's better.
Actually, making Rena talk like a maid does make me. And you brought up like character quirks. Ryukishi loves his character quirks, as you can tell by how. Yeah. How. Yeah. And then saying the same thing over again. And cute. Yeah, she's and cute mode, which is very fun. Just beating the absolute fuck out of people. And then having steam come out of her head when she thinks something's cute, and wanting to abduct children because they are cute. You're coming home with me. Anyway. Also, I have in my notes, yo, you can win a gun at this festival. And I had no idea that the original art for Mion. She's straight up packing. She's
packing heat.
Yep.
Yeah.
She got that thing on her. Holy crap! What is that? Is that something I should be worried about?
Don't make fun of her old man antics, or she hits you with the Glock.
She will fucking shoot you.
Does she actually physically smack you with the Glock?
I think they describe it as an airsoft gun, so they're not completely handing a child a pistol.
I'm just trying to think of like, what could she possibly be? Does she hunt? Does she go out on like? Is this like a? Maybe I've been playing too much of the long, or whatever the name of that is. The long night, whatever.
Rika's the trap master. Eon is the survivalist specialist.
Yes.
Yeah. Satoko is the trap master.
Yeah,
Sorry,
absolutely
Satoko,
the trap
right.
master. Yeah, I can't believe you forgot that. It's ridiculous.
Quote: what kind of Higurashi fan am I? What kind of cicada head am I?
Cicada head kills me.
Cicada heads unite. Quote: how was it, Rena? Was Kaiichi's hand bigger than you thought it'd be? My note: Holy shit, guys, stop. That was a whole part where Mion was basically teasing Rena because they were like going out and like they were talking outside. I think that was the part where Oishi just showed up. And then like Mion's like trying to insinuate that they were comparing dicks. I can't with this shit sometimes, y'all. Oh, I also have a bunch of really good notes. Ryokishi, I have a bunch of examples of fantastic writing from Ryokishi, including, quote, a tragedy born from a desire to believe, which is very interesting. Might have something to do with stuff that comes up later. What else do I have here? Hinamizawa's fight against the government about the dam is really interesting, is one of my notes, and I still believe that.
Definitely.
I love the politics that are happening. Also, a later note I have is that the Yakuza is mentioned in here. And
Yeah.
I think I mentioned it yesterday, but like, guys, I think the Yakuza is like out and about. I think they're here to stay. I think they're gonna like the way that the police chief was talking about Oishi not getting his pension or his retirement bonus made me think that was like, are the cops like in league with the Yakuza? Is there a conspiracy a-brewing?
Oh.
Anyway, maybe I'm going too crazy with this stuff, but that was the other thing. I really like how holistically, I think I said it in the non-spoiler part, but I really like how there's just like, it's not just a couple characters. It's not just like weird things happening. It's like weird things. It's okay. Here, the best way that I can explain it to anyone who enjoys Silent Hill is like if Silent Hill 1 wasn't just from the perspective of the characters caught in Silent Hill, but also the government of America, like trying to figure out what the fuck is going on because a whole town is just gone. It's just everybody who goes in there is like not talking. It's just everybody in there, like the cops would immediately figure out what's that, like, oh, no one's answering over there. Maybe they try to go over there and suddenly they find themselves either in Silent Hill or trapped in fog. It's like if this game is like if Silent Hill was writ larger. And that makes me very, very excited for Silent Hill Forte or F.
Well, one thing I like about Higurashi is that like every character eventually has a spotlight on them. Yeah, you might have gotten some of that reading a bit of chapter 2, but yeah, everyone just gets their moment to shine.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm also seeing that this site that I'm using for this no spoiler site is labeling the question arcs and the answer arcs, or just the question arcs, I'm sorry. Just the question arcs as Rena's arc. So Demoning Away, the first one, is labeled Rena's question arc. Cotton Drifting is Mion's, then Satoko, and then Rika.
Yep, right. Correct.
Yep,
okay.
That works.
So, yeah.
I think one thing I was going to bring up regarding Ryokishi's writing specifically is that I do really appreciate how much attention to detail he puts into making the setting itself also something of a character, which I think, is a very good sign for how he would handle a tale about Silent Hill, where it is the tale of a town, a small town, and all of the weird shit that goes in there.
Yeah, it's like I've always wanted like Silent Hill to be okay, so this might out me as a nerd, but I have
no way.
I have thought about what my perfect Silent Hill would be, or if I were to make a Silent Hill game, what it would be about. And that's one of the reasons why I'm really falling into this game, is because it's basically the same as this. It's like, what would happen if Silent Hill wasn't just like Silent Hill? What would happen if it had, because if you think about it, because the idea of what's happening in Silent Hill can't just be an isolated incident, possibly. Surely there are other places, either in America or across the world, that would experience things that are similar to it, and what that would do to maybe the entirety of the globe if something were to maybe fuck up that power that's been corrupted by that was corrupted in the first Silent Hill, in a way that makes Silent Hill 2 less of a specific instance of a place where people are going to kind of confront their inner demons. Because I don't know if y'all are big into Silent Hill, but I never really bought that Silent Hill was just a place where people go to, like in Downpour. It's portrayed as a place where people go to kind of go and get through their shit and then get over it. Or as like a punishing thing. I always really liked the idea that it was like a force of nature, that it was just something that is kind of acting on its own, kind of like mindlessly, which is interesting because of the emphasis that this game has on the cicadas. Something about this is screaming to me that there is some natural thing that's happening here, like something Silent Hill-esque. Oh, also, I heard that this game was like a Groundhog's Day kind of thing, where people are like looping, or like they're going like back, kind of like Keiichi died at the end of the first arc, and that when we went into the second arc, or at least in my mind, he's like going to like experience everything again, but with like knowledge of what happened previously. Mm-hmm. But playing the second arc, playing the Watanagashi, I'm not getting any of that. I'm getting
going into anything like that would be
spoilery.
Probably
Spoilers.
the biggest spoilers I
Yeah.
could drop.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Never mind. Okay.
Think of it like watching the same thing happen, but like different events happen
Okay.
in that same time loop.
Yeah, because
Basically, the same period of time passes, but different like they do different things during that time period.
Right.
okay. Alright.
It's the summer again, just different things happen.
Yeah, it's kind of like like a pool table. You break it, and like the balls go in different directions each time you do it. But it's still like the same balls on the same table.
Are you talking about Chaos Theory from Jurassic Park?
Not intentionally, but
No, I'm fucking around. Okay. So it's more like because that was the other thing that I was thinking, because Keiichi talks a lot about like video game stuff, like people having heat meter or like doing combos. Like the principal at one point beat the shit out of Mion and Keiichi when they tried to pet his head, and he mentioned like video game terms like, oh, he's doing a combo, oh, he's doing like he's using meter and all this other shit. And so that made me think that like, well, maybe if it does something like that, think of it less of like he's retaining his memory, but more like he's playing New Game Plus, or he's like doing a second playthrough of like what's going on. I don't know. There's a lot of video game talk in this visual novel, and it makes me think something like that. But I guess there's a word for that, right? There's a word for
Imagine 4 balls on the edge of a cliff.
I always imagine 4 balls on the edge of the cliff.
No.
Always. Every day I'm imagining 4 balls on the edge of the cliff. He had a family.
And those balls are Keiichi Ren.
Yeah, exactly. Less Keiichi, more the 4 girls. Anyway, Gift Smooth says at bobvids, well, I think we all know what dark path 40% of cops will be confronted with in Silent Hill. Yes. Yeah. I think we all know. Okay, so there's the bathroom one. Oh, there's a quote. At one point, Keiichi thinks to himself, "Don't spout stupid shit you think is funny," unquote, which I wrote down because that's funny.
I like how he says that and then just, contradicts that.
Yeah, immediately.
Constantly.
Having the kids playing Clue before Tomitake's murder is revealed is some shit. I really like that. I really, really like that. And then just the completely unsubtle way of like learning about the murder and then learning that like your friends might be involved in some way or something weird is happening. And then immediately cutting to, it was Mion in the room with the knife or something. And it's, and then what was her
With the axe, I think.
Yeah. And then there was Rika. Rika was like, yeah, there was a quote about poisoning, and then Rika's like, yeah, if I were to kill someone, I'd do it with poison. Everyone's just like, ha ha ha. And I'm over here like, okay, all right. Anyway, I'm trying to think of other things. Rena's lies was actually a jump scare. LeMayo, as in my notes.
I was gonna say I did not play with any voices, so that wasn't really a jump scare for me per se.
It was
just
so good.
everything for me. It was more that like all of the sound cut out, so it was kind of the opposite effect, where it just it just was very chilling because all you get is just dead silence.
Lies, and then just oh, that's cool. Yeah, for me it was like she screams it. The voice actress screams lies, and it was just. That combined with the audio sucking out was like really fucking cool. Also,
yeah, and
Ryukishi saying, quote, dragging this awkward mood behind us, we headed home. And I really like that. I really like that.
Oh, that is a good turn of phrase.
Hey, what were you going to say?
I really like the build up to lies because it's just Reina just really pinning Keiichi on every little thing.
Yeah, pinning him like a fucking bug on a with like little. Yeah, no, that was fantastic. And yeah,
needles,
yes, that's where I was going. Oh, Kaiichi rationalizing Rena's outburst is pretty informative and seems like it's coming from experience. So that was the moment where Rena has her outburst and screams lies, and then Kaiichi is basically like, well, she does seem uptight. She seems like she's got a lot going on. Maybe I shouldn't judge her by just, one outburst. There might be something going on there. I shouldn't. I'm being mean if I like. He's rationalizing to himself like a kid would if their parent screamed at them, like in a way that made them feel unsafe. And it really, really hit home because it was very like, it really was a child's like rationalization of why someone would do something like that. And just trying to calm themselves down and then basically telling themselves like, oh, that wasn't Rena. Kaiichi's like, no, that wasn't Rena. Rena's nice. Rena's kind. Rena doesn't make me feel unsafe. That was a different person. That was a separate person. And it's very sad, but also it feels like it's coming from somewhere, if you know what I mean.
I mean, Keiichi also, like, when he learns that his friends are hiding something from him, he just goes, well, it might be for a good reason.
Yeah. And that's something that I thought too. Like, they could be hiding this information to help, because clearly something happened with their previous friend, Satoshi. Something clearly happened there that's affected them. And so maybe they're trying to like, not, have the same thing happen again. And that's kind of why Rena, maybe if that's true, that might also be why Rena is like, she gets really sad and is like, why are you doing the same exact things that Satoshi did? You right down to the baseball bat. Why are you doing it? And like really kind of like sadly doing that. Also, it just occurred to me that maybe the thing that's happening to the girls isn't happening to the girls, it's happening to Kaiichi. And there's something that's happening that's making him see them as more aggressive than they actually are. Maybe he's filling in the gaps. He's imagining things. A lot of this story might be explained by him reading into the lines and possibly
I think that there's a lot of that paranoia also that builds up with Keiichi, and just you kind of start to get into his mindset a lot too. And I think that Ryukishi really does that intentionally to kind of put you in Keiichi's headspace and be like look at all this fucked up stuff that's happening to him, not really being able to take into consideration the other points of view that are going on.
Like even then, it's there's some other facts that really like go against that. Like, why would they tear off like his last note about the syringe if he's just, seeing these the wrong way, for instance? That's like so many little things contradict each other.
Yeah.
To where like a hard like answer is pretty hard to come to. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess that's a question for all of y'all. Will there be concrete answers?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Asked and answered. All right. I have in my notes, some guy choked on a spork and died in prison laughing my fucking ass off.
Was it Walter Sullivan?
It was Walter Sullivan. Oh, well, Ryukishi's been writing Silent Hill before he even got the IP. LeMayo at just being able to go to the hospital whenever the fuck. That is in my notes. Quote, I couldn't help but feel like the police were worthless, unquote. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Oishi's a perv for leering at the girls in Angel Mort, but his explanation for how the whole community has been affected by Hinamizawa's reputation as a demon city is pretty fucking interesting. Demon City. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's a little demon town.
Little demon town. Little demon place. You go for a little demon vacation.
Swamp full of demons.
Yeah, the swamp. That was interesting because one of the one person who went missing from the original 5 people who died. Well, okay. Here's my Higurashi test. If I remember correctly, it was one person who killed the what did they call that? The foreman of the dam, and then other people were there. So in order to make the other 4 people feel like they were in on the murder, he cut up the body into 5 pieces and gave everybody a piece so that everybody, it was basically like mutually assured destruction. Everybody went off to bury it, but one person went missing. The person who went to bury the right arm, I think? Right, okay. Which was very funny when the right arm of Colonel Sanders popped off and fell, and Keiichi's like, oh, ominous! Anyway. But yeah, that was interesting because the swamp was apparently where that other person was going to bury the arm, but they went missing. And apparently that swamp has a bunch of lore in that people think that it's a bottomless pit.
Yep.
Huh. Okay.
Well, I will say that you do have some. I feel like, so I can't tell how much of this is influenced by this game specifically or vice versa. Japanese culture does seem to really like doing the thing of just the forbidden, like, backwater town that had some kind of curse going on. I mean, you just played Fatal Frame where that was the whole plot.
Right.
So, I know that a lot of Japanese horror going forward was really inspired by Hinamizawa. Fatal Frame 2, actually, owes a lot to Higurashi. I
didn't know that.
Yeah.
It seems like this is one of those one of those pieces of art that deeply affected a generation in ways that are kind of subtle or more overt, because it definitely seems like this has overarching like influences in many different, like not just visual novels, but like other like games and stuff, like like Fatal Frame. But not only that, like thinking about it, like now, like going back and watching Hitchcock's stuff, it's like, oh, that's where this stuff comes from. That's why, Rear Windows, how they got the whole like, whodunit, like paranoia, or not the original one, but they kind of popularized a lot of that shit. Or like the being afraid of, what was it? I guess airplanes, and I forget what the name of that Hitchcock one was. Anyway, South by Southwest.
North by Northwest.
South by Southwest. See what my brain does to me? It fucks with me. But yeah, anyway, continue.
Yeah. Higurashi influencing a lot is actually what prevented me. Like, if you think teenage girls going insane and killing each other is like an anime trope. Like that was probably very much influenced by Higurashi, and just never did it as well, or just yeah. So when I first encountered Higurashi, I was like, well, I'm not gonna watch like or read something about just teenage girls killing each other. It wasn't until like someone told me the basic premise of Yumeneko, I was like, that's really interesting. I should probably read Higurashi before I start Yumeneko, and then I really appreciated what Higurashi was going for.
Yeah, and I do want to eventually get to Umineko. I just is it more? Is Umineko more like how many parts mystery versus horror is Umineko?
Umineko is a lot more mystery.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
There's very little horror.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. And that's interesting to me, but it's not as interesting, or at least not as telling as a horror story by Ryukishi before Silent Hill F comes out. This is just, it really makes me want to figure out, like, okay, how does he handle horror? Like, how do those stories form in his brain? But everyone has, literally everyone who I have said I am playing Higurashi to has said, oh, I'm so excited for when you get to Umineko. So,
Yeah, no, I'm like only halfway through Umineko myself, and just the first 3 chapters I've read of it were so good. And like, if you like the characters in Higurashi are very good. Like, he really excels with the characters in Umineko.
Interesting.
And he really plays up all these small fragments of text, really like play up the later sections of the story. And I haven't even got to the actual like quote unquote answers for the mysteries. Yumeneko's great.
Yeah, that sounds great. Shit. Fuck. Am I a visual novel person now? Shit.
Yes.
Hey, if there's a franchise to get you into it, When They Cry in general is pretty damn good at it.
True.
Yeah, Yumeneko in particular, I believe that like is considered like the 4th. Like, there's a visual novel database where it's just considered the 4th best visual novel ever.
Shit. I'm interested. It's very, very interesting. The whole thing. Oh, it's just daunting, guys. It's so daunting.
It is a lot.
It's a lot.
Is very dumb. Like, Umineko is a lot of words. I don't have an exact count, or like I don't have an exact like ratio to how much bigger it is than Higurashi, but I think it's like
I heard 500 hours.
It's
500
like reading
is a little too much, I would say.
It's like reading the Wheel of Time. Like, it's like the entire series of the Wheel of Time levels of length.
Red Bard on YouTube has a very nice video on just how long Yumeneko is compared to like certain contemporary novels.
Jeez. Well, we'll get to that when we get to it.
Yep.
But yeah, other than that, I'm really jonesing to figure out what the fuck is going on here, guys. I'm so interesting.
I'm
also,
actually really excited for you for chapter 2 in particular, because chapter 2 is probably one of the easier mysteries to solve, but it also has like a gimmick to it that I really like.
Yes.
Okay, so that's interesting. So should I be treating these chapters, specifically the question arcs, as like mysteries to solve?
Yes.
I would say that that's a good way of approaching
that.
it.
It's straight up the game portion.
See, that's what I was thinking. Like, as we were talking about it, it felt like, wait, do I have enough information to figure out what's going on in the first arc? And I don't think I have.
That in chapter 1, it's not obvious, but the information is there, and that's why. That's why I can't tell if I came to the conclusions on my own or if they were spoiled for me. That's why I'm like, I legitimately can't tell you if what I came up with by myself, or if it was because somebody told me that was the answer.
Yeah,
same here. I kind of forgot like how I made those connections, because it was genuinely like a decade ago. No, more like 15 years actually.
Like, if someone said like I'm a brain genius and I solved all of Higurashi from chapter 1, I would believe them. I would just think it's nigh impossible.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go out on a brain genius branch.
I love myself.
Go for it. We want to hear
Yeah.
your brain genius branches. That's what we're here for.
Oh, branch. I thought you said ranch.
Oh, well, let's go to
Brain
the
genius ranch.
hop on, y'all. We're going to the brain genius ranch. Okay, all right. I'm just gonna come out and say it. There was a really telling moment when we need some better music for this. What we got? No, I need some like. Oh God, I hate that fucking song. I need some. No, this song sucks too. No, that's too calm. I need like we're solving a mystery. Oh my God, there's a song in here called Morning Fog. Oh my God. Small Town.
What's the song that plays when the tips are playing?
Yeah,
like in the
what
tips
is that?
menu.
I'm gonna try Mion maybe. No, that's
That's a more upbeat one.
Yeah, I like that one, but
Yeah, I forget
Silence
a lot of it. Like I remember like getting really into the visual novel.
Here we go.
Sound. Okay. I remember getting a lot into the visual novel soundtrack because I ended up running a Higurashi themed tabletop game, and like using that soundtrack was a lot. I don't need to get into it now. It'd be an unnecessary digression.
Hey, you're talking to me, the king of the unnecessary digressions. Come on. Fuck me up.
I guess like the one thing that I'll say is like one of the coolest like moments of serendipity in my tabletop GMing experience, which is a lot. So for one scene, I had like it's like this is like 110% Higurashi inspired. So I was playing the like for a scene I was playing the cicadas, and at one point the music bot broke and just kind of stopped playing. But yeah, they were going through the scene. They were like kind of digging into this one NPC, and then like she dropped a line. I think it was something. I'm trying to think of the exact context. I think it was something about like the town's demon or something. And like she dropped that line, silence, and then the soundtrack started working again. So just like with no action on my own, the cicadas just started right back up. Which was cool as hell.
Interesting. That reminds me of the time that I was playing in my sculpture class for college. They had asked me to play some music from Silent Hill, and in the middle of it, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there is a song on the Silent Hill 4 soundtrack that is literally just Eileen making moaning noises, and that played super loud to everybody in my class. And they're like,
"Oh dear,
what the fuck is that?" It's literally just her going like,
messed up shit.
Yeah, apparently, yeah, based on everybody. No, I just had it because I downloaded the whole friggin'. I forgot to delete it off of my iPod. Damn it. Anyway, that was me explaining. Okay, so now we've got the creepy music. Let's go ahead and go with one of my theories. Okay. There was a really weird part when the cicadas dropped out right before Rena and Kaiichi got into, I think it was the first fight, or maybe the second fight. I think it was the first fight. But, okay, so you know how Higurashi's all based on like a sound novel. Sound is crucial, right?
Right.
When sounds drop out, it's very telling. When sounds pick up, it's very interesting what's going on here. Very useful for telling mood. I think there was something that happened when a breeze blew by, because I tied a lot of the things that were happening in this one section to this breeze that blew in. And specifically, Ryukishi pointed out this breeze. I feel like there are a couple times when Ryukishi like specifically taps you on the shoulder and goes, "Hey, pay attention to this. Pay attention to this. Look at this." That moment was when, Rena kind of, her eyes went all fucked up and there was a breeze. I think I think because in addition to that, the breeze also caused the cicadas to stop. I think the cicadas are kind of a clue to tell you something's happening with the air.
So like a clue when the cicadas cry.
Possibly. But more so that I think that... God, how do I put this? Something in this game... I feel like I need to play it over again, which is fucked. Because, like, I've already played so much. But, like, something is happening with the air of this town. Something is happening that is causing these characters to change. I don't know why or how, but it's kind of like, I want to say pollen? Something is like affecting everybody and getting them to do shit because this one instance of this breeze, and suddenly I've noticed that Keiichi lost his fucking mind and Rena completely changed. Like, Keiichi isn't the most put together person, but like he goes from 0 to 100 with paranoia and I think his heart rate is described at a certain point. Anyway, I think that there is something physically happening, kind of like how Silent Hill kind of works, but more so in that it's like an area. That's because, okay, the other reason I'm thinking this is because of this. The dam. Why the fuck would the fucking... I forgot I had my camera on for a second. Why the fuck would the government want to completely decimate an entire area, an entire town, and submerge it in water? I can only think of a couple things. One, to cover something up, or two, to prevent something from getting out, to prevent some kind of a disaster. The long term, the wide-ranging government shit in this is very interesting. Because they say it numerous times that the dam would have completely flooded the entire area. The entire area. Why you don't hear about shit like that? I don't know if that's just like a well, I mean, I say that, but at the same time, I can totally see America doing something like that.
No, that definitely actually
Yeah, there is
happens.
historical precedent.
Like, that is a historical precedence. Like, especially with indigenous peoples, like that is a massive problem.
Yeah, as I said that out loud, I was like, wait a minute, no, that could totally happen. But yeah, there's something really fucking weird about that.
But it's a great theory, though.
The breeze, I can't describe this enough. Like, the breeze when it happens, I really wish I had that moment recorded. I was actually playing with recording my playthrough just to like watch it back and record my voice and be like, oh, things that I was saying out loud. Because the stream that we did on what was it, Friday, was very fun. I had a lot of fun with that, and it was I was thinking about doing that more, but it's just a visual novel. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, Bob, you're so fucking annoying. Can you play something? And I don't want to read all the time. But anyway, it was very fun.
Bob with like Pepe Sylvia hands and eyes, or just.
I feel like I need a there, I did it for the camera. I need a whiteboard behind me, and with
you need a whiteboard with all these pins.
Which I've done that before with PT. That's why PT was practice. PT stands for practice time. Practice for Higurashi.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I mean, Silent Hill fans can be at home at solving a really convoluted mystery.
Yeah, and that's the other cool thing about it. I think that Ryukishi 7 is doing a really good job with setting up mysteries so that people can kind of come to their own conclusions and then give them a little bit of closure with the answer arcs. if there's an answer for everything in this series, that's kind of disappointing for someone who's coming from Silent Hill. But at the same time, that really helps fans kind of enjoy, like, especially if the story is good, if the story is really like multifaceted and interesting, that would be a great boon for Silent Hill. But I just feel like Silent Hill 2 in specific, Silent Hill 2's strength is in the questions it doesn't answer. I think that go ahead.
I think I will say, in terms of the answers for everything, it's not like they just come out and tell you the answers. It's more that you suddenly see things from a different perspective, and then it all clicks. It's more of that kind of, mystery solving. It is not a we're going to exposition to you like what was really going on.
No, they don't really like exposition to you everything, but I think at some point say like sort of give you a fact or like a bit of information to use as like a tool to unpack things yourself.
Mm-hmm. Also, I haven't finished Yumeneko myself, but I hear for Yumeneko, there are some places where he didn't give an answer.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
See, I think that horror is all about playing with unknowns. I think that, depending on how it's handled, or at least Silent Hill's flavored horror, but I also think that, there's horror is a lot of, finding something unknown and finding that scary, and just like playing with possibilities and not knowing answers. And I think that there's a lot of, like, I can imagine, okay, so my dream Silent Hill would have to do with the legal system and not knowing specific answers to questions that we make basically hard repercussions for. So in my mind, starting out a Silent Hill game with a murder that you don't know why it happened, you don't know, the motives, and then you eventually uncover those motives and realize that none of those answers are satisfying, and also they're not conclusive. And then playing with the idea of you just don't know. And that's the thing that's powerful, because even with a lot of crimes that happen now, there's just no, unless even when people confess, there's a lot of times no real way to know. And yet, we send people to, a prison for shit that we just can't conclusively prove. And playing in that gray area is I think that's very interesting. And I think that honing in on the power of, honing in on the idea that for victims, that's not the point, that that it can be useful, but in certain situations when you can't find the perpetrator, or it's just like in a gray area, it's more about overcoming that situation and coming to your own conclusion, getting closure for yourself. That's very interesting, or it's very powerful.
I agree with Tetron in the the chat, who's like, you're probably gonna really like Yumeneko.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. No,
that was my thought too.
Okay. Fuck. Well, now I got another visual novel to read. Fucking shit. All right.
You've got time. Who knows when Silent Hill F is gonna come out?
Yeah. True. Absolutely true. Especially if Silent Hill F is just the initial like trailer or teaser, or like a playable trailer of some kind, and then F actually stands for 5, and then oh boy, that'd be some shit. Anyway,
talking about it, so I'm the opposite of you, where I'm not really a Silent Hill fan. I'm more of a at this point a When They Cry fan. So hearing that he is doing the newest one is the thing that finally made like, okay, this is going to be the Silent Hill I play.
Yep, same here.
It's interesting because, like, yeah, if y'all are getting right into Silent Hill, like, I'm trying to think of, I mean, obviously, if you haven't played Silent Hill 2, I would definitely recommend it. But at the same time, if you're coming in specifically for Higurashi, like, that's the beauty of Silent Hill, is that it can really kind of be whatever the people making it want it to be, if they twist it into the specific shape that it needs to be. It really is just like people have talked for a lot. People have said many words about what a Silent Hill game should be, and like really the main things that that connect all of the games is the place and horror. and psychological horror, and that's basically it. Like as long as he does those things, I'm sure it'll be fine. And honestly, everything that I've seen of Higurashi so far, like this is a match made in heaven. Like this, as long as he keeps that fucking weird anime shit out of it, like absolutely, let's go for it. Let's fucking go.
Honestly, like from what I know about like Silent Hill and such, I don't think there's going to be any place for the anime shit. So like,
no.
Hell yeah.
It is interesting because the trailer is like, a schoolgirl outfit, like the girl's in a schoolgirl outfit. I don't think I've really seen a lot of people talk at length about the trailer. So maybe I'll just talk a little bit about it here. But for me, when I see that trailer, I think of basically this girl is trapped in her own kind of like, the town is empty. She is like, first she's like, her dress is like, okay. She's like, trying to run around. She was looking at a grave, if I remember correctly. And then in the next scene, she's like absolutely fucked up. She's got like dirt on her. She's got her dress is like fucked up. She's dragging a pipe on the ground and these weird vines are coming out. It's just all of that shit just screams like corruption. Like something about this area is being infected by, I have no idea. It seems kind of ridiculous to draw conclusions, but I will say Higurashi seems to me to be entirely about the conflict of the natural and man-made creations. Like a lot of nature and man-made shit, and like nature and how we affect nature. And a lot of what, like a perfect example would be Oishi's amazing car with wonderful air conditioning in it. Specifically like negating the nature around the car. You are creating a space that is more habitable to humans, to people. And in doing so, you are like in direct contrast with nature. So that is also kind of echoed in the teaser, where the nature is encroaching upon the man-made city, where the roses, the plants are coming in and invading. And it's very, this music is perfect for the level of
music is really good for the level of conspiracy we're getting down into.
Exactly. But yeah, like I can't stress enough. I love it. I'm so excited to see what Ryukishi does with Silent Hill F, and I'm really excited. I think I might just hop off here and keep playing chapter. I shouldn't call them chapters. I should call them arcs. Keep playing Arc 2.
Yeah, that's about what I'm about to do.
Honestly, I might do the same thing.
Yeah,
I was playing the second arc. I think I stopped at like chapter 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm. Shit, man.
And honestly, like this, if this is going to be like a thing, what happens regularly? I think it'd be good for me to fully read the stuff.
Yeah, I can also have my old notes to compare, so I can create new ones, knowing the full brunt of the mystery, and that will be fun to compare.
Absolutely. Oh, what did you guys think of my my conspiracy theory?
Oh, with the wind? Oh no, that's a great theory. That's exactly what the ideas you need to be having. For,
okay, cool.
Higurashi.
Yeah, that's
a
definitely the
really
kind.
Cool theory.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I genuinely, coming at this from only knowing some things and not all things, I can't tell you whether or not you're right. Like, I genuinely don't know.
If I was completely wrong, would you say, hey, you're wrong, you're looking in the wrong direction?
No,
No.
I wouldn't
No.
tell you that
Fuck.
you were wrong.
Damn it.
But even if I couldn't tell you one way or another anyway. So now I'm gonna be thinking about it going forward.
There's a few things I've put pins in for, like, once you kind of get past certain points.
Mhm.
But those points have yet to come.
Yeah, I think my job as someone who's like played the entire thing would be to also obfuscate and put you off the track a little bit.
Shit.
Yep.
Well, that's what I want. I don't want y'all being Masahiro Ito up in here just smacking down my theories.
Masahiro
No,
Ito.
like, if there would be a point where I'd answer anything, forthcomingly, it would be in, like, the last or second to last arc.
Yeah, I feel like at that point, if I don't have ideas on what's going on, then I'm not really like digging it. I'm not not digging it. I'm not really in it. I'm not really letting it affect me. And apparently, okay, one of the other reasons why I'm doing this is because I had I watched an amazing video that gave a really good overview of like why you should watch it. And if I forget, it was the person I linked to earlier. Does anyone remember?
Bess on YouTube.
Say that again?
I think it's Bess on YouTube.
If I remember correctly. Yes. Yes, it's Bess. Yeah. So, yes, A Beginner's Guide to When They Cry by Bess on YouTube. They did a very, very, very good job in explaining why you should play this game. And the main reason was because of how it ends and kind of how everything ties together specifically to get you to fucking feel something, to get you to feel something for these characters and what they're going through, to get you to empathize. And I think that is what not only Silent Hill games should strive for, but all of horror. All of it. Because if you're just here to watch the gore, watch people cut each other's, throats and fucking bite each other's ears off and shit like that, like, that can't be what this is all about. There's so much more to this genre than just macabre fucking gore porn, It can't all just be this vapid crap. And so, yeah, I'm like, Bess did a fantastic job explaining that this is really the story about friendship, much like Silent Hill 2 is the story about love. Yeah, this is a story about what the power of friendship. And yeah, coming from from arc 1, I'm really excited to see how that factors into everything. Because yes, there's the mystery aspect, and that's great. But if what I have to look forward to is an emotional story about why having friends is a good thing and how to be a better friend, that is a high bar. So
yeah, like one of the things I mentioned it that everyone gets a spotlight, but you also have the ability to just see certain characters in a different light. Like Rena in like chapter 1 comes across, as quite the villain in this first one, but in the second one, she's like completely different.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I don't really see her as a villain. Like I don't. She does bad things, like, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I just don't have enough information. I don't want to judge her, mainly because of what happened with when we learned that she smashed all those windows, and I'm like, fuck yeah, man, that's metal as shit. And then you learn that she had like a group of friends that she beat the shit out of, and they were all guys, and like they didn't press charges, and then she moved. Like, I'm kind of worried where this might be going. That being said, like, I don't want to, she feels very, very sympathetic, even when she's sticking needles in my frickin' mochi and stabbing me, and
Yeah, you have to trust your friend, even when you think they shouldn't really be trusted.
Yeah,
Trust your friends over the cops.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, fuck cops. Fucking pigs. Anyway, Yeah, and that totally reminds me. Didn't Mion say that she put the needle in the mochi?
Neon did say that that was her idea.
Okay, so that was her idea because she thought it would be a challenge.
She thought it was a funny joke.
Yeah. I remember reading that and being like, "What the fuck?" Okay.
It was a prank, bro. It's just a prank.
Just a prank, bro. Bro, that's fucked. But the thought occurs to me that, like, wait, if that wasn't her idea, does she actually hurt us at all ever? She doesn't actually do anything to Keiichi.
I mean, she holds you down, but
Yeah, and I guess the needle.
Yeah, but maybe. Oh my god. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, no. What if the thing that they're... Oh no, what if Keiichi is... Oh no. Oh, that sucks so much.
Oh no.
Oh no, what if Keiichi
All right, go
is...
for it. Go ahead.
What
Go
if
for it.
Keiichi's losing his fucking mind? What if something's happening to him where he's getting super fucking paranoid and all the girls were holding him down because they were trying to give him a sedative or something?
Oh, that would be.
Oh
That's super
god.
tragic. Yeah.
Oh no. Oh, that's so sad. Can you tell by my smile? My devious smile?
Yeah.
Oh.
When you start to consider like other perspectives, then you start realizing that it's a depressing story.
I was literally just thinking in the car when I was driving around yesterday how cool it would be to do a story entirely about perspective, where from one perspective, actions of everybody are like crazy and it seems like everybody's like has murderous intent or is out to get you, but then the story from another perspective is like, oh no, all of those people doing those things totally makes like sense, like 100% sense.
That is how you have to approach Higurashi in a nutshell.
Shit. Oh
Yeah,
god.
I like that you had 3 different theories just talking about it here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like we're going real late. I'm totally sorry. We'll stop. But
Oh no, not at all.
No.
Time of my life.
Okay.
No, I have all the time in the world to talk about Higurashi.
I do not. I do have to go to work, unfortunately, in the
Oh.
morning.
Fuck. Oh yeah, I do too. Shit. You just reminded me. I actually have to go into the office. Fuck. Anyway, I need to transfer stuff to a hard drive. Anyway, hey, Laura, hi. You here?
Yeah.
Hey. You've been kind of quiet. Is there anything that you wanted to say? That I feel like we were all kind of like, loud and we're.
Sure, I like listening to
Okay.
the conversation. So but yeah, sure, I can talk a little bit. I think like the thing that makes Higurashi in general just so captivating to me is just like, even if you know what you're getting into in chapter 1, the feeling of like, oh shit, fucky wucky shit happens later, and you're like, oh no, I'm moving on to chapter 2, and that like that peace and quiet like kind of gets reinstated as you would, and
Right.
even if like there's that sense of like, okay, things are fine for now, but fucky wucky shit is going to happen later, even if you don't want it to, even if you wish it would just like stay peaceful and nice and chill and fun, like you just like have fun with the characters.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the point, I guess, just really getting immersed into the character's world and then watching it all be torn apart, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I will say,
but it's just like, yeah, it's just so interesting to just see it all happen, just see it all unfold, and just
yeah. I'm sorry I talked over you, but like you're absolutely, you
No,
reminded me of, you're totally right, because I remember a specific moment where the thought hit me where it was like Mion trying to do like the book club thing and everybody kind of gathering around, and then Keiichi just kind of walking out and just being like, yeah, whatever, you guys do whatever, and then just watching the fall of like, this friend group kind of dissipate, or like Kaiichi kind of. I remember one of the worst moments that really gut punched me was when Rena comes up to Kaiichi and says like, "Hey, I'm worried about you. Like, you're not like, we used to do all this club stuff, and now you're just going home, and you're super like what's going on? Like, are you okay?" And then Kaiichi immediately like going after her, like, and I think that was the moment when he like very aggressively like said, "Go home, get home." And one of the funniest lines, which was Kaiichi losing his mind and like being like, get in front of me, stop following me. And then Rena's like, I'm going home. Like, we live the same, we're going the same way, but I'm going home. Like, I'm not following you. I just thought that was like the whole watching the watching the game club kind of just dissipate, and Kaiichi just kind of like, fall out of it. It was really sad. It was sad. And yeah, you're totally right, because I remember I started up chapter 2 thinking that it would be like, oh, Kaiichi opens his eyes and it's the day that he came, back, like Groundhog Day style, and he came and everything's reset, and now he has all this information, he's going to like go. But no, it just drops you like in the middle of like another like game day where they're about to play more games, and it's just like it was before. But yeah, and what I have to look forward to is that disappearing again, like that falling apart again.
Mm-hmm. I believe like at the beginning, Keiichi's coming back from like from the city, and he's like, I'm, as much as I like the city, I like my friends. I'm much more suited to being around these people, and just seeing him say that and just how it ends up, that's super sad.
Yeah. Oishi's behind it all.
Oh, I just wanted to like say a funny, like I've seen a meme that like, I think it was on Tumblr, but like it was like Higurashi would be this long if Oishi didn't have air conditioning in his car. and Higurashi would be so much shorter if he didn't have air conditioning in his car.
The answer to the entire mystery is that Oishi needed coolant to make his car really cold.
I could go into like deep depths about Oishi's role in the first arc, but that involves later knowledge, so maybe it could be something I end up going back to, maybe not.
Yeah.
But it's just like, once you realize like how pieces kind of move, it's like, oh, holy shit.
Yeah.
Rikishi like has this thing working like a fucking clock. Like,
it really, I'm starting to realize that talking to y'all about how this is truly like a game to be solved, and that there are solutions here, and that you can solve it, by like, all of the information that you have in the first arc is really making me like question a lot of the shit that's happening, because there are certain specific things that are happening in this first arc that are just weird. And looking at it from the point of, oh, Kaiichi is an unreliable narrator, that's kind of opening my eyes to like, wait, now I can just base things off of events like that are confirmed by the outside, by external sources other than Kaiichi. And in doing so, I'm realizing every fucking time, and I knew this, at the end of the very last chapter of the first arc, every fucking time that something bad happens, Oishi precipitated it. Oishi is like there every fucking time. And it makes me suspicious. It's like one big game of Among Us, and Oishi is sus.
Very sus.
Very sus.
Extremely
Sussy
sus.
Baka. Oh, this is actually
Sussy Baka.
this is the exact time to say Sussy Baka. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. The other Japanese word that I remembered is mate, which I think that means wait. Anyway.
Mate.
Mate.
Yamaha.
What was the? Oh, there was another one. Whatever. I'm talking. And this is me going on an anime roundabout conversation. Anyways, hi. We're going to go ahead and call it there. I'd like to thank my lovely co-commentators, and that would be Indestructible Cat, Laura High, Meowtroid, and Staghorn for joining me. Polyester Pimp ducked out early, but thank you very much for joining anyway. But yeah, I'll leave it. We can't leave it on this creepy music. What are we doing? We need something upbeat. We need something nice. What we got? Yeah, there we go. Happy times. Yay. Everything's fine.
Just like back to chapter 2.
Yeah.
Beginning of chapter 2. Happy times. Things are good. Things are fine.
Things are great. Don't pay attention to
Thanks for having me. This is really fun, and definitely let me know when you're doing this for other chapters, if you're going to do it for other chapters.
Will do. I was actually complimented by someone on Twitter who noticed that I flew through the first arc. And that was because I did not have anything to do. So I am hoping that I will have a similar hole in my schedule to finish the second arc and the third arc relatively soon. But I also am still writing. I'm still working on my Medium video and a couple other things. So stay posted. But this was great. I'm really happy with our talk, and I think this is what needs. Like when Silent Hill F comes out, I'm absolutely doing this again. Like these games are meant to be like, and the way that Ryukishi writes this, definitely. Higurashi, it's meant to be talked about. It's meant to be like sussed apart and like picked apart and analyzed, and it's fun doing that. And I miss that.
You're making me look forward to Silent Hill F a lot more, just because like the idea of experiencing like a Higurashi like experience with the people to talk about it and doing so completely fresh.
Yeah.
A lot of no, not the bad song. Oh no, it's Hello from Higurashi no Naku Korone. I hate this song so much. Turn it off. I forgot to repeat the last one. Put it on loop. But yes, a lot of I'm actually pretty fucking sad that I didn't ride the wave of Higurashi when it first came out. Like,
yeah, I was in a similar boat.
This would have been so fucking fun to suss apart, to like pick apart live, like as it happens.
Well, like the thing is that like you couldn't, like if you wanted to like be there live as it's happening, you kind of have to be like it didn't really come over here to the West in a way that where you could do that.
Right.
Which is unfortunate, but like but being able to do that if you're like like if you were like Japanese and like experiencing it as it came out and like the right way, that would have been cool as fuck.
Especially considering Ryukishi apparently was really handled it like a fucking champ. Like handled like talking to people about theories while like getting them to like not saying yes or no, not giving definitive answers, but encouraging investigation, encouraging like analysis. And that's something that I feel like is sorely missing in the Silent Hill fan base. Everyone's so adamant about finding specific answers to questions, and it's pretty fucking sad. Like I'm really sad at the state of things, because the why Silent Hill 2 has kind of lasted the way that it has to me is because it allows you, much like the characters in Higurashi, it's really about perspective. It's really about not what the creators are trying to say, but about how you interpret them. Because that's literally the point of Silent Hill. You go into the town and you get things manifest from your subconscious. So why do you feel the way that you do about the things that are manifested from James's subconscious, from Angela's subconscious? It's a game that's meant to be talked about. And that conversation has been strangled by people like Twin Perfect and all these other people on Reddit who are just hounding like Masahiro Ito for answers. Like, what is Pyramid Head? Who is Pyramid Head? And then Ito just gets annoyed and says, oh, it's James. So that's the conversation fucking done. Anyway, but yeah, I fucking love the idea of having something like Higurashi that's coming out, that's like able to be talked about by everybody in this space, and is also probably going to be a mystery that we are going to be solving live. If Silent Hill F is multiple parts, I'm gonna lose my mind. Anyway,
that would actually be really cool.
Yeah.
I think that would
An
be-
episodic series.
An episodic series of Silent Hill would be,
Or even if it's just like a two-parter, like if
it's just
if
like
it had like
teaser.
a question arc and an answer arc equivalent, like that, like mwah.
Yeah, no, I'm totally ready for that. And like, yeah, it's tough because I don't want those answers necessarily, but from the way that you guys are talking about it, it's not that Ryukishi is like specifically saying this is the answer. He's just providing the space in which you can come to the conclusions on your own. It's like a really well done puzzle where
yes,
you
exactly.
You are the one who feels like you solved it when really it was like, it was built to be solved. So, but yeah.
that is, I would definitely describe Higurashi's story as a puzzle to be solved. And as you're given more pieces, you start putting it together more and more. And then you go back and you go, oh, that makes sense now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I'm thinking now, talking to y'all about it and actually sussing through it. I think that I need to rewatch a couple things. Like maybe I'll just watch the anime again and then maybe come up with some ideas.
Plus, discussions in general is just a big part of Human Echo, just like two people discussing with each other what's happening.
Yeah, and I love that shit. That's one of the reasons why I fell in love with Silent Hill 2. It's because of the conversations that happened around on forums. Like, why is this thing the way that it is? Why does this character do the things that they do? What is happening in here? There's still mysteries in that fucking game that people aren't talking about. But anyway, I digress. It's just like this, I'll say it again, match made in heaven. Like, this really seems to play at Silent Hill's strengths, and it's also seems to be Ryukishi's strengths. So, with that, I will say that GifSmooth says that it's, quote, all about circumcision, which, hey, maybe it is.
Maybe it is. I mean, maybe.
It's all a metaphor, baby. Oh man,
Split Worm is all about circumcision.
maybe Keiichi taking his dick out during the chicken contest.
Yeah,
was about
perfect.
circumcision.
Yes, exactly. I just realized chicken, cock. Anyway. Anyway, hey, yeah, man, you all got me fucked up. Y'all got me fucked up real hard. Y'all got me like, I need to, oh man. Oh, he's totally fucking losing his mind. Something happened to Keiichi. That's why they called the fucking white man. Oh no, that's why the people. Oh god, they were trying to give him. Oh no, and then he beat the shit out. Oh no, guys. Oh, that sucks.
No.
Oh
They
no.
were testing his sanity by asking to see his cock.
My cock will make me sane. Anyway, we're going to end on that one. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining. And thank everybody in the chat for joining. Thank you to my wonderful co-commentators. And we will be back. Oh, you bet your ass. You bet your I was about to say
cock.
you bet your cock that we'll be back and we'll be talking about this shit. So thank you very much, everybody. All right. Catch y'all later.
Take care. Have a good night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Take care.
cicada heads.
Oh, cicada head.